Welcome to today's first Chesapeake Chat sponsored by Newport News Shipbuilding session. I'm Annika Seth, a first Chesapeake FTC and FRC alumni and an alumni ambassador sponsored by Booz Allen Hamilton. I am here to introduce this evening's first Chesapeake Chat. I want to first thank this session's sponsor, Newport News Shipbuilding, for making this event possible. As some brief housekeeping, we're going to first let our speakers for the night present, and we'll then open up for discussion questions later on if time permits. Please put questions in the comment section throughout the chat tonight, and we'll try to get to them all after our presentations today. Before getting started, a quick couple of announcements. First, a quick reminder that the volunteer system is now open for volunteers, with our first FRC tournament of the season beginning this weekend, and the FTC and FRC Championship sponsored by Newport News again, only a month away. We have both remote and in-person roles available, making it easy to support our STEM community even from far away. In fact, we presently need 3 more FRC judges remotely for this weekend. Please visit our webpage at www.firstchesapeake.org/volunteer for instructions and links to register. Second, we invite you to save the date for the first Chesapeake Reaching for the Stars Women in STEM Breakfast, sponsored by Leidos. The live stream presentation sponsored by Canon Virginia will broadcast on May 3rd from 9 to 10 a.m. Info is going to be shared soon about how to register for the dial-in information. And third, as you might recall, we're trying something new this year. Before the end of our presentation today, we're going to ask a question relating to something from our chat order first. The first person to enter the correct answer in the chat will win a $10 Chick-fil-A gift card. On that note, let's get started. Today's chat features a cool job discussion with Newport News Shipbuilding employees. At this time, I want to introduce our 2 speakers. We have first Sophia Basari, who is an engineer at Newport News Shipbuilding, working in the Nuclear Propulsion Division in the Reactor Services Department. She is joined by Janine Jones, an engineering manager leading a team in the development of software for Navy aircraft carriers. Thank you both so much for being with us tonight. We really appreciate your time, and we're going to start off with you, Ms. Jones, if you want to kick it off.
Absolutely. Thank you. So my name is Janine, and I am a engineering manager at the shipyard. What we do on my team is we develop software for the carriers, and that allows some automation to happen. It allows for the efficiency of the crew on board to be able to do all the great things that they need to do on the ship while they're deployed. And so my team does a lot of that work that allows a person to be almost in multiple places at one time, because they can read the status of different operations throughout the ship at one time, and we can start and stop things. We are able to control and monitor so many things throughout the ship, which just allows us to be more efficient and more effective in how we use that vessel. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. And then if you want to continue that, Ms. Basari, that'd be awesome as well.
Yeah, so I just got a promotion, no big deal, to engineer 2. I work in the nuclear propulsion department, so I get to work with radiological procedures in our nuclear reactor, which is really cool. I studied mechanical engineering, but I've kind of dipped my toes into the nuclear world. So we create procedures that ensure anyone who's working on or near the reactor isn't exposed to radiation. That's one of our big things at the yard, is ensuring that everyone is safe and that our environment is safe. So yeah, I get to work alongside nuclear engineers, mechanical engineers, and the people who actually build these ships and ensure that everything is safe with the nuclear reactor.
That's super exciting. Congrats on the promotion. That's wonderful. Well deserved. We have a couple of questions that I'm going to start off with for both of you, if that's okay. And then for our audience, if you want to put in questions in the chat, please feel free, and I'll get to them as we move forward with our evening today. But our first question is just kind of about what inspired you to pursue a career in STEM. And we'll start with you, Janine, if that's all right.
For me, I always loved to take things apart, see how they work, and sometimes get them back together. Like as an elementary school student, I know my parents used to always wonder what happened to their radio, what happened to, I used to just take anything I can get my hands on apart and recreate it into something else. And they hated it, but they were nurturing a desire to solve problems for me. And so at a very, very young age, I always knew that I wanted to do something with engineering. I started off actually thinking that I wanted to do architectural engineering. I love structures. I love like the different cultural influences in structures. So I wanted to pursue that. But as I kind of got deeper and deeper into it, I found that I was you had to go as a civil engineer and then do some other things. And it was very much regional specific. So I actually pursued electrical engineering, and that's what I got my degree in at the University of Pittsburgh. So I really love that as well. I'm a person that even today I rewire my house just because I can. And I like playing with robots. I literally buy robots just to play with them on my own time. That's like a pastime for me. Or developing code to make my life easier. And so in general, engineers just solve problems. And that's what I think I really love to do, is to figure out what the problem is and do something to come up with a solution, whether that's in the mechanical world, electrical world, software world, whatever that is. But I've always known that I wanted to do something with engineering.
That's incredible. Thank you so much. It's very, very inspiring. And then Sophia, if you want to follow that up.
Yeah, so in middle school, I actually got exposed to 3D printing and I loved it. I could not believe how amazing it was. And then in high school, we had like an entry-level general engineering course that, explored civil engineering, mechanical engineering, all different types. And there I got to explore 3D printing more. And I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. So I kind of like math and science. And everyone was like, you should be an engineer. So I was like, sure. I actually was a civil engineer for like 2 days. And kind of like Janine, I was like, I don't really like, the government involvement with this. Civil engineering is really cool. One of my best friends is a civil engineer, but I definitely wanted to build things and design things and analyze things. So I studied mechanical in school and I graduated in 2019. And I'm really glad that I did so, because with engineering, you can do anything. You can work in the medical field, contracting like we do for, the government essentially. The possibilities are endless, and it's a really cool career, and you get to meet a lot of really great people.
That's lovely. I think a lot of our audience members, and I think me as well, can really relate to the whole 3D printing bit, sparking some interest in STEM. I think as, young robotics, competitors, that's a big part of how we approach challenges and design processes and things like that. So I really appreciate you kind of speaking to how like fabrication can be so influential. Kind of our next question here. So for some background on me, I'm a first-year student in college right now. I did first for 6 years. I think a lot of our students here are, in high school, they're looking at colleges, graduating, things like that. And I guess my question is, what advice would you have for your younger self in terms of not just STEM, but kind of navigating, school, college, professional life, and just what advice do you have? And we'll flip it around. So Sophia, if you want to start off.
Yeah, so I was absolutely terrified to go into engineering. I enjoyed math and science, but I wasn't super great at it. I took AP calculus and AP physics in high school and slid by with a B minus. And you don't have to be a genius to be an engineer. I definitely struggled at times, but that's the whole point. You're supposed to kind of flounder around, figure out a solution that isn't always the right solution. There's never one solution, which is the beautiful part of engineering. But yeah, school was obviously not easy. I definitely struggled. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but you're going to have to put in the work. So definitely before you start going into your engineering classes and deciding what kind of engineering you want to take, absolutely 100% take that AP calculus, take that AP physics, because basically your first whole year, your whole freshman year is going to be, potentially the AP or the IB physics and calculuses that you are taking. But network, right out of college network. I have friends who are traveling the world by being engineers, and that's because you make connections, you communicate with your professors, you participate in things like this, and you get your name out there. And it sounds cheesy, and I know it can be really uncomfortable, but it is the best thing that you can do. And internships, that's what it's all about. No one cares about your straight A's and the 300 A pluses you got on your exams. People care about your internships and what you were able to do with your hands and the projects that you were able to do. So absolutely follow your passion and just make sure that you're digging in and asking as many questions as you can when you have the opportunity to do so.
That's really wonderful. Thank you so much. And then Janine, if you want to take the next shot at that, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with Sophia that, and it's funny because I actually had a conversation about that earlier today about the importance of having tangible experience, not necessarily over education, but as a complement to your education, right? It definitely adds so much value to make sure that you get like the the senior projects, the student projects, get involved in that. Robotics is a great thing for your resume. When I'm looking at resumes, I definitely look for somebody able to tangibly do and execute a project. So the other thing is that engineering, they throw a lot of stuff at you. You do a lot of classes, and out of all the classes you take, only a subset of that information will you actually apply in your actual job. You would have to, I really believe engineering classes really just ensure that you're able to learn and able to adapt more so than anything else. Because once you get into your job, once you get into the industry that you want to pursue, you will learn there and you will be able to adapt. And it's just your ability to adapt and make decisions, right? Our educational program is really set up to make sure that you're able to make decisions and apply a decision-making solution to what's going on. So I really, really, really agree with tangible work experience when you're coming into the industry, even if it's somewhat unrelated to where you come from. It's just the importance of being able to understand real life applications of the things that you do, and to be in, I would also say join societies, because that's another way that you have networking. That is so important, that when you want to figure out, whether it's looking for a job, whether it's figuring out how to put a project together yourself, the fact that you have these societies and these engineering networks, they will help you immensely to move forward with a lot of things that you will want to pursue in the industry. So.
That's great advice. I actually had the chance to go to the Women's Engineering Society conference back in October, and that was a great experience, I think, both for networking, but just to kind of see, like what's out there. So I really appreciate that comment. Thank you so much. I think, Sophia, kind of going to what you were saying earlier about internships, we have a question in the chat here asking if there are any internships in your department at Newport News, because both of your jobs sound very interesting. So I think, Janine, we'll start with you on this one, if you have internships available at Newport News.
Absolutely, we do. We start our internship. So it's an application process, and I don't have those specific details, but we could get it out to you guys. But you apply to the internships, and then you will have the ability to. The one thing I love about the shipyard, there's so many different types of engineering going on, right? You can do anything from IT to procedures to nuclear to electrical. You have so many choices. So we definitely do have internships. I think the applications start sometime in March, and of course, the interns will start. The internship will start in June. So yes, we definitely do offer internships at the shipyard.
That's great. I think that a lot of students in the chat are probably very excited by that prospect. So thank you. Yeah. Sophia, if you wanted to add, please feel free.
Yeah, I love working with our interns. They teach me more than I teach them. And within the shipyard, we also have a rotation program. So we have, if you're an entry-level engineer or any level, you're able to rotate throughout the entire yard. And I know that my department, the nuclear propulsion department, also has a E82 rotation program. So within my department, I was able to join 3 groups, and that was amazing. I was alongside someone who did a co-op, which is where you're a full-time college student, but you're also working for the shipyard and getting a salary, which is really nice. And 9 times out of 10, that leads to a job if they, see that you're intuitive and creative and, thriving in your position. So lots of opportunities at the shipyard, and it is a great place to work.
That's great. Thank you so much. As a follow-up in the chat, we have another question about internships, wondering if they are paid or not. And this might vary, so this can also be a later question. But Janine, if you want to take this one, please feel free.
Yes, they are paid internships, especially in the engineering realm. So you would apply. It's similar to applying for a co-op or a job. You will get paid, and they pay well. So if you're trying to augment student loans or anything like that, and to piggyback on what Sophia said, if you were hired by the shipyard, they also have an educational reimbursement program as well, right? So there's opportunities there that you can go forth with an internship and then come back and apply after you've graduated. And more than likely, if you've done well, you will have a great opportunity to start a career there.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I know, like, for me, when I was looking for internships in high school and even now, the money is really important. So that's great. Thank you. Another question in the chat here is asking what the coolest project you've ever been involved in has been. And Sophia, we'll start with you on this one.
So in school, I did this amazing project. We, with a 3D printer, actually 3D printed a prosthetic hand for a girl in Ohio. And we got her measurements. We worked with a biomedical engineer. And as the students, we actually printed the hand and stitched it all together. It's called, I forget what it's called, but it's a national thing. You guys can sign up, join a team. I think that there's local branches. If you Google 3D printed prosthetic hand student, I'm sure you'll find it, but that was amazing. And that was really fulfilling. And I actually had the most amazing internship when I was a freshman in college, like 4 years ago. I had an internship at NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab in Pasadena, California for 10 weeks. Amazing. It was great. It was so cool. Apply for everything. I literally applied kind of as a joke and I got in and I could not believe it. And the team I worked for was the deep space exploration team. It was a robotics team. And they were actually working on a proposal to get more data on Venus. So they were going to send like a little probe thing out onto Venus. It was going to orbit around the sun once. And then after its second orbit, launch and then orbit around Venus and then land on the atmosphere. And even though it was going to explode because the Venusian atmosphere is absolutely insane, it was going to collect like, soil samples and data and stuff like that. So that was insane. That was really cool. And the only reason I got it was because I was like, why not? I'm going to apply to this. I'm going to give it a shot. And the tears of joy when I got that email were amazing. So just go for it. I know JPL, there's a NASA Langley right here in Virginia. I'm pretty sure it's like 20 minutes from the shipyard. The shipyard's really cool. You should apply to the shipyard too. But it was a great internship and I was really excited to be able to participate in that.
That's really wonderful. And I think your advice about, just reaching out is super important. I think a lot of people, and often, myself and my friends as well, will count ourselves out before we even submit ourselves for candidacy. And I feel like, let them do the counting us out. Like, why should we? So I feel like that's great advice. Thank you so much. Janine, if you want to take the next part of it.
I don't know if I can top all this going out of space kind of thing, because in the EE realm, I kind of did a lot of stuff in the chemical plant, and I really love that job because I was able to, so the one thing about a chemical plant, sometimes to make chlorine, you have to inject electrical pulses into it to separate, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, but the equipment there, we were able to get on like electrical bucket trucks, like hang over the side of a cliff. This may not sound that exciting, but it was super exciting to me to hang over a cliff, and we're working on like power lines, and we were able to create the pucks that go into your swimming pool. That was one of the products that they created. So we did all of the instrument and monitoring equipment to make the perfect batch to deliver these things. So something as simple as the pucks that chlorinate your water are like really complicated things to do. And I guess like the shipyard, one of my coolest projects, so it was I used to work on this, the design for Columbia submarines, and to be able to design the spaces and go to the different bases and walk on these massive, amazing vessels, I think that is like really cool in a sense, because when you get there, you never know like how scary it is, because these places are extremely protected. So like when you're walking on there and you have somebody standing there with a gun bigger than you, and you're like, oh my God, I promise I won't touch anything. But it was still like an amazing experience to get on some of these vessels that, unless you're in the military, you otherwise wouldn't be able to get on board. So I've had really amazing experiences with designing those spaces and doing, my biggest thing is I can't wait for those to come to fruition, because we were just doing the design right now, but when it's fully built, I can't wait to walk the spaces that we built in a digital realm, right? So we use 3D, not 3D, sorry. We use design tools so we can do 3D rendering images of the spaces that we've created. And then just to be able to walk those spaces once they're being put together, that would be the most amazing culminating thing for my career.
That's really incredible. I love hearing about the projects that y'all have been involved in. I think, it's really inspiring to hear about what older engineers have been doing in their careers for those of us who are kind of, just starting out. So thank you for sharing. That's super exciting. Another question that we have here is just how y'all are working to pay it forward. Obviously, being here is a great part of, teaching the next generation and sharing your wisdom and your experience with us. But are there other things that you think are salient in your efforts to kind of pay things forward? And then, Janine, if you want to start here, please feel free.
Absolutely. I would say that the shipyard does a really great job of making it easy for people to pay it forward. There's so many different programs that we do within the community that so we have like technical labs that are, across like a couple blocks from the shipyard, in which the community can come in and interact with our engineers and do STEM projects. We also are deployed in a lot of the middle schools because we understand it doesn't just start at in high school. It starts as early as possible, right? So we're in the middle schools, we're doing projects. I actually, in a couple of weeks, will do a robotics project with a local middle school here. So there are so many community outreach things. In addition, there's Boys and Girls Club that I will volunteer for to kind of make people aware of the different cool things you can do. Because first of all, if you think it's cool, then you're more interested to wanting to pursue it. So we do actually use a lot of robotics to get people engaged in that, because if you can tangibly see something and control it and manipulate how it behaves, it's kind of like, oh, that cool factor. And there's some, aspects of the job that aren't always cool, but they're always fascinating, for a person that has an intriguing mind. So, yeah, I think that we partner a lot with our schools in this community too. So I personally have gone to several high schools to invest time in helping students to just understand what we do and understand what opportunities are out there and how they can use any one of the engineering degrees to, make a career out of.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. I love hearing about, I think, corporate outreach efforts too. I think that's super important. Sophia, if you want to take the next shot.
Yeah, absolutely. The shipyard, as Janine mentioned, has a ton of outreach programs. I know that I'm personally involved with the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, and they have a lot of volunteering options. And the Society of Women Engineers has a conference every year. Anika, I know that you went to that. Those are always really fun. That's actually where I got my job at the shipyard. And in all honesty, I've been in the professional world for 2 years now. So anything sorry, that's actually my 3D printer. I'm 3D printing a keychain right now. So in terms of outreach, I've mostly been receiving the outreach. As students like yourself, like 2 years ago, I was listening to professionals talk about their amazing careers. So getting to participate in something like this and kind of, give back some of the stories that I got to hear that really, kept me going when I was, in the middle of engineering school and struggling with all the math assignments and stuff like that. So I'm really grateful to be here talking to you guys and, more stuff like this. This is a blast. And, I want to participate in more like this.
I'll say that is presently me right now, struggling through engineering classes as an engineering major. I've had 3 math midterms this week. So I think what you were saying before about, the AP classes in high school being super helpful. Absolutely, like 100% vouching for that right now. I think I only got through midterm week because of those. So I think your comments have been very insightful for me as well, personally. We're going to switch a little bit over into our closing segment now. Thank you all for your comments and for our audience for all the questions. They were great, great questions. We're going to do our memory test now. So if you know the answer to this question to our audience members, please put it into our chat box. And the first correct answer will receive a $10 Chick-fil-A gift card. Our question today is, which of today's presenters works with aircraft carriers? While we wait for your answers, please watch this short video from Newport News Shipbuilding. have a question in the chat asking for a repeat of the question itself. The question was, which of our speakers works with aircraft carriers? We'll give you a little bit more time to answer that. So while we wait for that answer, I want to again just thank our lovely speakers today, Sophia Basari and Janine Jones, for being with us today. And I also want to thank today's sponsor and our chat sponsor overall, Newport New Shipbuilding, for their very generous support of both this program and our upcoming First Chesapeake District Championship. So our answer in the chat is Janine. I think Sophia also worked with aircraft carriers, right? Unless I'm, yeah. So great job though. Good effort all around. And I also just want to, again, just reiterate how grateful we are to our speakers and our audience members for their time today. This is our last First Chesapeake chat of the season. So we've been really, really happy to bring the presentations to you for the entire season. It's been a great honor for me to be moderating these for the past couple of months. And I just want to thank all of our guest speakers, Sophia, Janine, of course, but everyone who's been here over the past season for spending these half hours with us over the course of the 2021-2022 competition time period. And I also want to thank you, our lovely audience members, for watching with us. So have a great rest of your night and good luck with the rest of your competitions. Bye, everyone.